Right, everyone, we'll go by the clock. Good afternoon to everyone. I think we've almost got more officers than we have members. It's a bit scary, isn't it? Welcome to you all. No, it's not that meeting. That one's later. Right, welcome to the hub meeting. I'm just going to go straight into it. So apologies for absence, please. Mr. White.
Thank you, Leader. Good afternoon, members. We've got apologies this afternoon from Councillor Bridgewater, who's on the Teams link, and Councillor Moody. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much indeed. I will be presenting the report for Councillor Moody when that issue comes up. So, declarations of interest. We're all experienced enough to know what we need to declare and we don't, so please do so at the relevant points. Items requiring urgent attention. Chief Exec. Mr. White.
There are no items to this meeting.
Thank you very much. Confirmation of minutes, please. Pages 1 to 4. If anybody's got anything to add, let's get there. So, page 1, 2, 3 and 4. I'm happy to propose those minutes.
Happy to second.
All those in favour? Thank you very much.
That's carried for the minutes. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much. Public questions?
No questions received, Leader.
Thank you, Mr. White. And we'll move to pages 5 to 10, the Hub Committee Forward Plan. There's a few bits on there today that we will be dealing with. And then I think when we get to July, I think it is going to be, from memory of reading this, there's a lot for Councillor Elliott and Councillor Edmonds. Ooh, right, Councillor Edmonds, you may go first. Oh, Councillor Mott, ladies first then.
Thank you, Councillor Edmonds. Just to advise Chair that the World Heritage paper will be coming in September, not in July, to tie in better with the public consultation. So we will be bringing the draft forward to help promote the public consultation and hopefully get a good few responses to that then. Thank you.
Okay, that makes sense. But, September's not too bad. No, that's the Chris Edmonds show. September's the Chris Edmonds show, isn't it? So, Councillor Edmonds.
Well, thank you. Oh, it didn't go on. 21st of July meeting for the debt write-off report. Yeah. So it's under health and community well-being, where it probably needs to be under resources and performance.
I did note that. And I was surprised, thinking, what has Councillor Elliott been up to?
Yeah. I think if we go to September, I think it... Yes. I think I'm right. Is it September? I think then it goes back to performance and resources. I think I'm right. Indeed it does.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Leader.
Does anyone else have anything else? Right. So moving on. Item 7 is the Crisis and Resilience Fund and other cost of living. Our lead member for Health and Community Wellbeing, Councillor Elliott, please.
Thank you very much, Leader. So this is a very detailed paper, and a major thank you to Jenny Hotchkiss and the team for putting this together. So I'm not going to go through it all in minute detail. I'd rather sort of paint the bigger picture of what we're doing here. And also, people might get a little bit of deja vu all over again, because we've had several papers about the Crisis and Resilience Fund, and that's because it is a major change in the way that support is being delivered and the money is coming down from central government. And so this is a sort of third and final part of an important trilogy, if you like. So I think if I go through the recommendations and provide a little bit of background to it, that's probably the most sensible way of dealing with this paper. So So the first recommendation is to instruct the Head of Revenues and Benefits to take immediate steps to make crisis payments. So this is the crisis part of the Crisis and Resilience Fund. And altogether, we're being given about £300,000, just over £300,000, which is coming down via the county to West Devon for the next year. And one of the things that the government has stipulated is that we need to be able to provide crisis payments within 48 hours. So that's really quite a step up in sort of dealing with things urgently. And I've got some information in front of me that says because this was started from the 1st of April, the team is already on this, and we are getting these applications for crisis payments. So there's already 78 completed payments. So this, members need to be aware, this isn't a sort of once a week type thing. This is an ongoing issue that our most vulnerable residents need our help and need a mechanism to get that help. So that's the first recommendation, is making crisis payments on an application basis. So this is needing members of the community to be proactive and come to us to say that they need help. As I say, overall, there's 300,000 over the year. 200,000 of that is more for direct payments, like these crisis payments. But the Crisis and Resilience Fund is also trying to build the resilience of the community. So 1/3 of that 300,000, £100,000, is money that we can spend in other ways to build the resilience of the community. So what we're asking the hub to agree to in this paper is to provide funding to one of our partners, West Devon CVS, who can then improve residents' financial resilience by coordinating local support. So people will be aware that West Devon CVS work with a number of sort of grassroots voluntary organisations. So that's a sort of way of not just sort of fine-tuning things, but really building good foundations within the community. And another way that we're working in partnership is recommendation 3, that we've already got experience of working with Homemakers Southwest, and they've provided really good evidence of how they've been able to support our residents and leverage in additional funding. And so we're going to be providing just over 20,000 to Homemakers Southwest so that they can provide that more specialist welfare benefits and debt advice. In the past, when we were before the Crisis and Resilience Fund and we were giving out money under the Household Support Fund, I'm sure members will remember that we always prioritised Devon care leavers. And the way that we were working before was to give specific payments to all Devon care leavers. And the benefit is that we know exactly who those people are. It's generally around 20 people. You know, we're not talking about dozens, we're talking about, you know, a couple of dozen at most in West Devon, yeah. And so what we're going to be doing is making sure that those care leavers are still treated as a priority group. But people who've read this paper carefully will see that it's a different approach that's being suggested. So rather than just doling out £500, the idea is that this will be treated as a priority group. They'll be invited in, and they will be given that money if it's needed, but it's more of a sort of wraparound service to really look at their financial resilience and to work out what their needs are, rather than just saying, like a grandparent might, oh, it's your birthday, here's some money. So we're trying to be a bit more sort of thoughtful about how we do that. We're also, this is number 5, ring fencing £10,000 for the provision of things like slow cookers and electric blankets. So we're very thoughtful about the fact that the money comes through in April, but it's got this 300,000 has to last the whole year. In April, we all start feeling more optimistic about the warm weather and things, and then life really cuts to the chase in November and December. So we need to make sure we've got some practical money there. So that's recommendation number 5. And in some ways, I feel that recommendation 6 is the most important recommendation here for us to think about. it doesn't feel so important because we're noting it, but it is a key bit of our work as West Devon Borough Council, because the aim here is to establish a whole team that is dedicated to providing financial advice and support. What makes this quite an effective way of working is that we can share it with South Hams. So again, we're getting these efficiencies of working as two authorities. And this is sort of going beyond just giving out bits of money, but actually looking at someone's whole situation to say, are they claiming the housing benefit that they need? Have they got the council tax reduction that they should be getting? So much more that sort of holistic view. So when we talk about a team, we're not talking about a rugby team. We're talking about, and not even quite a five-a-side football team. We're talking about a small group of individuals. We have to be realistic that we're a relatively small council. But we are talking about a sort of in-house piece of work rather than just giving out money. This is much more about dealing with people in a holistic way, working in partnership, prioritising care levers. So I hope, without going through paragraph by paragraph of the paper, by going through the recommendations, that gives people a really good flavour of what this paper is all about. I'm so pleased that Mrs. Hotchkiss is here because she can answer any tricky questions that people have got, because this is a really important area of work. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you very much for that excellent introduction, Councillor Elliott. I have a question before I let you all loose. I'm really sorry. We say we have received 78 payments and we've completed 78 payments already. Where are the referrals coming from for those payments that are coming through?
Thank you for the question. So they're mainly direct applications. Hopefully members will recall that the team did some proactive contact with people we thought would be eligible for heating oil payments. So some of them are on as a result of that. A bit of a plea, if anybody's aware of anybody who needs some support and needs some support now, we do have a dedicated mailbox, and I'm proposing to put something in the members' bulletin this week. So we'd absolutely welcome anybody that you're aware of letting us know that they might need some support.
Thank you for that. And are we going externally with some of the comms for that as well?
Yep, absolutely. I understand that there's a press release, and we will just be working up some wider comms and working with our partners just to make sure that we get the message out there as far as possible.
Right, I thought Councillor Elliott had tweaked one. But actually
that was active travel, leader. That was the active travel one, which wasn't written in-house. So
no, I remember now. Right, questions, please. Councillor Edmonds.
Thank you, Leader. Well, I'm pleased to note the partnership working with both West Devon CVS and Homemaker Southwest, two really good organisations. But I'm wondering what arrangements will be in place to monitor the effectiveness of these, this partnership agreement.
Ms. Hotchkiss, please.
Yep, absolutely. A very important point, Councillor Edmonds. So this is going to be maybe a bit more structured than maybe some of the household support fund work in terms of service level agreements with said organisations. There's quite a strict management information regime in terms of West Devon Borough Council having to provide information to Devon County Council and onwards to DWP. So that's, it's an area of key focus for us as we go through this journey.
Councillor Jury, please.
Thank you. Just to slightly follow up on that comment, how will I really welcome this approach, but my question really is, how will we know whether and when this new approach is working? Are there going to be any specific measures in place to show that recipients of the service are developing their own financial resilience Or is it just hopefully going to be a question that we hope the 78 crisis grants will be reduced? Or is there anything more specific that will demonstrate that improved financial resilience?
That's a really good question, and it lends itself to sort of the resilience aspects of this work. So it's really key that when we're interacting with people, it may well be that we will make a part payment, which is dependent on, or a further payment is dependent on them engaging either with us or appropriate partners, and we will be keeping a very clear record in terms of what the longer term outcomes are, because that is really the key difference to the household support fund, in that we need to be demonstrating longer term outcomes for residents.
Thank you for that, Mrs. Hotchkiss. May I just follow up on that? Within the report, I am sure I read that so many people said they would engage and then didn't. Am I correct? I did read that in here, didn't I? Yeah. So is that why we're going to maybe look at doing part payments until they do? And then my other question, which I should have asked originally, was seeing how many applications that we've had and we've dealt with, is your department able to deal with this level? And do we expect the level to stay at the rate it is at the moment, that it's almost becoming a daily task of your department as opposed to so many a month or whatever?
Yeah, thank you, Leader. So I think in terms of the initial payments, a lot of those were heating oil crisis payments. So that was really important that we got that money out of the door as quickly as possible. There are challenges at the moment to deliver this work on top of everything else that the team are doing. But I'm hopeful that if we can get the new team up and running as soon as possible, obviously that will mitigate the pressure, and that will add capacity in terms of the process.
Thank you, because if we have to get things out in 48 hours, that is putting quite a pressure on your department to be able to work at that level. With some of the complexities of some of the applications that will be received by us as an authority. So thank you for that. Does anyone else have any more questions? Councillor Dexter, please.
Thank you. I thought the paper was great. It sort of demonstrates a really person-centred approach which benefit our residents. I know a lot of charities and other sectors, if you like, work out the benefits that their recipients receive. So it's not us. So that takes it from a recipient's point of view. Are we actually going to try to measure the benefits that our tenants will receive from this person-centred approach?
So I think there's two things there. I think those metrics are quite often around the benefit to the individual, and rightly so. But I think it's really important to identify how this work will potentially benefit the council in terms of council tax collection rates, for example. I think there's sort of various threads that need to pull together to demonstrate that we are actually achieving sort of longer term sustainable outcomes for both the individual, the council, and I guess wider society.
Thank you. Anyone else, please? No. Councillor Elliott, please.
Well, thank you for such sensible questions, searching questions. I think it is always a challenge to assess the success at an individual level of these sorts of schemes, because we have to balance how intrusive we are about people's finances and their autonomy. We have to balance that with a sort of duty that we're spending taxpayers' money in a good way. So it can be quite difficult to track people's finances over time for that reason. But I think this is a really intelligent approach, this holistic approach. And I think, Jenny's experience with her team makes it very well placed to do this work and incorporate that work into their sort of business as usual. So that's excellent. So I think it just now falls to me to move the recommendations which are on the screen. There are 6 recommendations in all, but I hope we can take all of them, given the tone of the questions.
I'm hoping we can take them all on block. Is that okay, Mr. White? Because number 6 is in notes. So
Absolutely fine to take all 6 on block as long as the proposal is seconded. Thank you.
Okay.
So I formally propose the 6 recommendations.
And I will formally second those 6 recommendations. Is there any debate, please? Councillor Jury.
Thank you, Leader. I appreciate the report. Really, really good and thorough report as usual, and which I subscribe to. I think the strongest aspect here is the move away from simply issuing grants towards helping people become financially resilient through advice and other intervention, and I really, really welcome that. I think as well the principles of prevention rather than crisis management, partnership working, and potentially reducing future demand on council services are all excellent. I will be supporting the recommendations, and I take Councillor Elliott's comment that in some ways recommendation number 6 is potentially the most important of all of them. So I thoroughly support this and will support the recommendations.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jury. Any other debate from anybody, please? No, I think we're all very happy with this report and the implications for the residents of West Devon and how we can help people in need, but also, as Councillor Jury has said, that actually individuals can become more financially resilient. And to me personally, that assistance of becoming more financially resilient, which Chief Exec will agree with me on, is for the care leavers. If we can teach them how to manage their money in the best way possible, they can then take those skills through their life and hopefully they will stay financially resilient for their life. And if nothing else, if West Devon can do that, I think that's a really good thing to be able to do for people. So if we've got no further debate, may I say all those in favour, please?
Thank you, Leader. That's unanimous for the 6 recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Elliott and Mrs Hotchkiss, for that report and for that good vote through. Right, if we can now move to pages 29 to 78, lots of pages, for the Better Care Fund Financial Assistance Policy. Councillor Renders.
Thank you, Leader. Good afternoon, everyone, both here in the chamber and those listening online. You have before you a report, the purpose of which is to approve an updated financial assistance policy that sets out just how, as a council, we will focus our Better Care Fund allocation to deal with a range of housing issues, for which I refer you to Appendix 1. The Better Care Fund allows local authorities to provide a variety of grants, which include disabled facilities grants, which enable eligible residents, mainly vulnerable individuals, to remain safe and healthy in their own homes. It is proposed to update our current policy along with the rest of Devon. What I like about this report is it details what our current assistance packages are and highlights what we have spent on adaptation, as a result of these grants over the last 3 years, a figure in the region of £3.5 million, which I think you'll agree confirms this council's commitment to its most vulnerable residents. The details of all that are in note 5.2. In addition to detailing the 7 objectives of the revised Better Care Fund, it also gives details of updates to the West Devon Accessible Homes Grant. The main one of those, I think, is the increase from 30,000 to 40,000 for the discretionary grant. This is to allow for increases in labour and material costs. I think that covers everything in the first recommendation. Luckily enough, I noticed we have the author of the paper with us over there, Dave. So if I have missed anything on that bit, he'll be there to answer any questions. But just before I do open up to the floor, I think just a brief explanation of the rationale behind recommendation 2, and that is in connection to the means testing request if needed. And I stress if needed. It's a fail-safe really to ensure we don't overcommit ourselves as the fund isn't bottomless, and if required allows us to ensure people in most need, especially financially, don't miss out.
Thank you very much, Councillor Renders. Do the officers wish to add anything? Thank you, Mr. Sexton.
Thank you. Just add a little bit. It's really just a tweak to the current policy. Obviously, we're there day in, day out. We see what comes through our door, and so like the 30 to 40,000, we do the odd extensions. They're getting very expensive now. So rather than it be using, there's an exception part of the policy. Rather than going to that, let's use, like I said, if we see it coming in day out, then perhaps that should be more policy. So again, reflects the increase in policy, increase in labour and material. We want to obviously expand slightly the non-means tested, particularly something I'm really interested in is the motor neuron disease side of things. I had a meeting with some nurses who are really at the cold face of this, and they're just saying you've got to be very quick. As soon as they're diagnosed, they could deteriorate quite quickly, or they could be quite slow, or could be a few years, but actually get the help in there first before they really need it, because they're going to have enough stress in their life. So let's have a stair lift or a bathroom in there so that once they really deteriorate, is ready for them. So it just adds that bit of flexibility, and it sort of makes their lives a little bit easier. We're talking massive numbers in West Devon either. And the last thing I want to do as well is there's something it cropped up. We're doing a very complex adaptation at the moment where we've already gone through £9,000 worth of feasibility because it's a very complicated external lift. So again, instead of eating into their 30,000 DFG or their 30 to 40,000 accessible home grants, it sits outside of that, so we actually know if it's feasible or not.
Thank you very much. Questions, please. Thank you, Councillor Dexter.
Again, I thought it was a very good paper, but I just wanted to query something, having lost my screen now. But on page 32, it gives the table of the numbers. And if you do the sums, it looks like the average amount spent in 23-24 was £44,000 per case. Following year 27 and the 25-26 was 13,000. Are we looking at something, a change in profile of the work that we're doing? Or, I mean, I'm just trying to understand why the value is decreasing.
I'm just going to refer that to Mr. Setz only because we'd spoken about this before and he gave a far better answer than I would, so I'm going to chuck that one back.
There are some layers and complexities behind the numbers, particularly we have a lot that straddle 2 financial years. So it does, like I said, we have I'll call the quick impact, but lower costs adaptations. So stair lifts and bathrooms we expect to go in, well, stair lifts a matter of weeks, bathrooms a matter of months, but I know of, when I speak to the grant officers, that would go on for 2 or 3 years because they're very complicated. And the needs are very complicated, so there are a lot of complexities behind the scenes. Sometimes we, particularly last financial year, when we had a bumper year the year before and we were a bit overspent, is that we had to restrict it down because of, like I said, just protect the budget. And again, behind the layer of that is that when the occupational therapist comes to us, they put it into 3 categories, the resident: danger, deterioration, or difficulty. So we were prioritising dangers and deteriorations. So yeah, so it does seem like it has gone down, but it only went down because, like I said, we had a bit of a hold up. We've now released that, and I was just going through the figures already for this year. And if you're interested, we've already invoiced 249,000 already in Q1, and we've got another, like I said, another like 250 in the pipeline with another 273 just coming in already. So we're already up to like 700,000 already for this year. So yeah, it is quite, I always find when I speak to Mr. Luscombe, what is the best matrix to report on this? And it's like I said, because of so many layers and complexities, we try and keep it as simple as we can do. But like I said, it's mainly around the straddling financial years which skew, and we take a lot of commitments through. So I tend to find that when I go into March and I report up to Devon County, we will probably have around, I wouldn't be surprised, we have somewhere between £200,000 to £300,000 worth of work, which has sort of started in this year, but committed it'll be spent in the next financial year.
Thank you, Mr. Sexton. I can see Mr. Luscombe's finger hovering over his button, and as him and I used to attend a lot of meetings together for DFGs at County, I know he's going to add some of his knowledge now.
Thank you, Leader. When Mr. Sexton asked me what the measure of success is going to be, it's that feedback that we get from residents. There is quite a detailed conversation about finances. I think we manage it really well on the whole over a period of not just the 3 years, but 10, 15 years. We've always done very well in comparison with other local authorities in terms of our spend. But I think I'll go back to the measure of success is the feedback that we get from residents, and members will see in one of the appendices that there's some accounts of work which we have done, and we often get really nice comments back from the residents. They are often very vulnerable, often in really difficult situations, and we do some work which really the team work really professionally with them to sort of understand their needs and concerns and provide some really good adaptations for them, which is life-changing. And I think that's what we need to bear in mind in terms of, again, the theme of this meeting, I think, is helping and assisting vulnerable people. Thank you.
I'd like to add to that, Mr. Luscombe, in that I really like the section in this paper now that acknowledges how good we are, and I've known we've always been almost an exemplar in how we use our money, how we've allocated our money up front, with cases that are available. But I like the bit now, if somebody's not spending, then that money can be reallocated to an authority that has got oven-ready, shelf-ready applications that can be delivered on. And I think that's really important that we keep that work going to show that we are ready and that we can do as many adaptations as possible in a year, because they really do make a complete life-changing difference to some people. And I have to say, for Kent, because the bathrooms are the same, as I think as I said to someone, and the stair lifts, my mother and the life she has now got in being able to get upstairs where she couldn't and things like that, it comes into my bedroom, but it is there and it is a huge change. They can actually stay living in their own home, and it does make a huge difference. Councillor West, please.
Thank you, Leader. A quick question. As we are all aware, looking at the data, and I love data, that the population, the age of the population in West Devon is quite high, is getting higher. So I'm just wondering, are there mechanisms in place where we can go back to the relevant, to the government, to the minister, to say, look, with our ageing population, the fact we haven't got single dwellings being built, how are we able to say to them, look, there is going to be this need, the need is there, how do we go back with our cap in hand, so to speak, to get extra funding? Because if we look at the trends, is there a trend where more and more people are asking for these sorts of grants at the moment? It's just a question, what mechanisms we have to ask for more money, basically.
There is no formal mechanism. What I have noticed is the first time for this financial year, the government's asked for what's our underspends. They never asked that before. And I go with Councillor Hughes, what you've talked about, that Devon collective bargaining we're doing. Yeah, that's really important. I made it very clear at a meeting last week that whatever's decided, that no council or any of the district councils in Devon has an underspend. Yes, we do have an ageing population. The government have got a formula they use to allocate the money to us. It is rising year on year. Not the high as I would like it, but again, there is extra layers that to get to me or get to the team, they've got to get to an occupational therapist to get that referral to make sure the adapter is right for them and for their needs. So they only got a finite resource. So that's what was a little bit of a gatekeeping as well. So yes, I don't think we've ever been this busy in all the years I've been here. I think about 20 years now I've been here. I remember, like I said, it used to be around 300,000 used to spend, now we're up to 700,000, £1 million. So yeah, so the budget has increased quite significantly over the years. We are busy. We are trying to find different ways of getting it cheaper, if that makes sense. So we are trying to be competitive with the suppliers out there. So we try and tweak it that side as well. But I think probably I can take that to the Devon districts and see whether or not there's a collective. And obviously we have, also we work with the Better Care Fund commissioners at county, is whether there is a mechanism to say we haven't got enough. But I think with government asking for the underspends, I think they're just looking to see what is out there, whether or not people are, or councils are, sitting on a surplus.
Thank you, Mr. Sexton.
Thank you.
Mr. Powell, please.
Just to add to that, Leader, you'll note from the report and in the appendix that the funding comes through the Better Care Fund, and that's based on a formula. So each authority, each district gets a certain allocation of money. Now, what Dave hasn't said, which I think is really important, is that the work that the team have done historically has meant that the allocation that West Devon has got has been over and above what the formula would actually provide, and that's down to the efficiency and the quality of the service that the team provide. That's been the case for a few years now, and each year, well, not every year, but most years, there's a little bit of extra money that might appear later in the year. And as a result of the spend and the control the team have put in place, we often get that money as well. So I think there's never going to be enough for the demand that's out there, but by taking the approach that we've got, which is ensuring that we effectively turn the tap on to deliver as quickly as we can and then slow it down again, we both manage the demand, but we also don't overspend the budget. And going back to the original point about the sort of what looks like strange numbers over the years, it is simply because DFGs move from year to year to year. And sometimes you may get a few larger adaptations that cost a lot of money, and another year you may get loads of level access showers and so on. So there'll always be an uneven sort of graph of expenditure and demand. Thank you.
Mr. Luscombe, would you still like to come in?
Yes, just one short point to add. I think in terms of that sort of bigger picture, the Better Care Fund is seen as a spend to save by the government, and the reason I say that is because these adaptations, first of all, keep people out of hospital. They stop trips and falls in the home, which is, leads to lots of hospital admissions. But also, when people are in a hospital, it's often a requirement that they are fit to go home and that they can access their property properly. So where they get a stair lift or level access shower, then that enables them to return to their homes more quickly. So in terms of the impact that it has a huge impact on National Health Service budgets by restricting demand on that service, but also getting people out of hospital more quickly.
Thank you. Any more questions, anyone? Councillor Renders.
Okay, the two recommendations are up on there, and I'm happy to propose. If I could have a seconder, please.
Happy to second. Debate, please. Councillor Jury.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you again for a really good report. I think it's worth pulling out and noting that West Devon has spent £3.5 million over the last 3 years, as mentioned in this report, which I think is amazing. It would be very interesting if it could be done to see what the return on that investment might be in terms of savings, which typically might occur elsewhere in the system. I suspect at Devon County in terms of people remaining independent and staying in their own homes, and also with the NHS in terms of avoidable emergency admissions. But the anecdotal evidence that Mr. Luscombe has also mentioned, I think, justifies the expenditure in its own right. So I'd be really happy to continue to support the work of the team here and support these recommendations.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jury. Any other comments from anyone, please? Councillor West.
Thank you, Leader. I mean, just leading on from my question, I'd just like to comment that, as I said earlier, we have got an ageing population. The current planning model as such does not allow for one-bedroom facilities, and certainly I don't think for disabled facilities within homes. So I do have a concern that in the future, depending on policy going forward around planning and that is that, you know, as we go forwards as council, stating quite clearly, which I'm sure does happen, but I'd like to reinforce it, that we have to have a planning model which allows for bungalow, small dwellings with disabled facilities, because a number of the people retiring here have those needs before they even get here, so to speak. So there are huge implications for the housing, the body of housing in West Devon with this issue. And I'd just like to thank everybody for their work on that. But obviously, unfortunately, there's a lot more that needs to be done going forward. So thank you, Leader.
I can answer some of that, Councillor West, in my role as the Housing Advisory Chair for the Devon and Torbay Combined County Authority. That we talked about this issue last week at our meeting, and the Devon Housing Commission report that we received a couple of years ago has actually been updated with new data because the data was over 2 years old. And it has found that, as you've said, the population is increasing, people are still moving down here, and as you say, some of them have already got those needs before they get here. It is recognised, and we've spoken about it with Councillor Mott in her role as chairs of local plan, etc., that there is a need for more one-bedroomed, more supported living, which is what we particularly discussed last week at our meeting, that there is a far greater need across Devon for varying types of independent but supported living accommodation, as well as one-bedroomed accommodation. So it is being looked at, and within the plans that we have to start putting in place for West Devon and our plan with South Hams, but it will be looked at, and I don't know whether Mr. Powell or Councillor Mott wish to add to any of that. Mr. Powell, please.
Well, I think the only thing I can add is, as members know, we are in the process of starting to develop the new local plan, and the policies in that will be based on the evidence that is needed for the district for the future. So the points that the leader and Councillor West have made are very valid and will be put into that process.
Thank you, Mr. Powell.
Thank you, Leader.
If there's no further debate, can we go to a vote, please? All those in favour?
That's 7 unanimous. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Councillor Renders and Councillor Sexton. Thank you for all your good work, and Mr. Luscombe for your continuing good work on this. Right, if we can move to page 79, please. The Tamar Valley National Landscape Management Plan for 2026 to 2031. Councillor Dexter, please.
Thank you very much. I think I'd first like to express my thanks for the Tamar National Landscape for the quality of the report, for the plan we are being asked to approve. I'd also like to thank our officers and the previous hub member for climate. I'm here, if you like, presenting this on the back of all the work that has been done. I mean, the other local authorities in the Tamar, Cornwall, County Council, Devon County Council and so on, are also being asked to formally approve this document. I think the paper summarises the themes set out in the 145 pages of the full report. I think the main observation I'd like to make myself, that I was impressed by the commitment and professionalism of the leadership of the Tamar Valley National Landscape. And certainly the report demonstrates strategic foresight, which identify the key drivers for change, which include MPPF, climate change, biodiversity, agriculture, and so on. So it's a really comprehensive report. as you probably realise, the Tamar Valley National Landscape is funded principally by DEFRA, the tune of about £230,000, but we contribute 10,000, which I think is good value for the excellent work that they're planning to do. So I commend this plan to be adopted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dexter. Mr. Sekula, would you like to add anything, or are we okay?
Not a great deal. I think it's well summarised. The National Landscape team have a number of officers who deliver a very wide-ranging programme. We benefit from it significantly within West Devon. This management plan effectively encompasses all the good work they currently do and sets out a forward plan, if you like. But rest assured, there's a lot of good work going on in the Tamar Valley. Perhaps some of it doesn't reach you all in terms of messaging, but yeah, a very busy team working hard over there, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Sekula. Are there any questions, please? Wonderful. Councillor Dexter, you've got away with it for your meeting. Councillor Dexter, over to you.
May I propose a recommendation as set out?
Thank you. I'm happy to second that. Is there any debate, please? Councillor West.
Thank you, Leader. Can I just echo what Councillor Dexter already said and other officers? It has been a pleasure in my previous, whatever you called me, Councillor Dexter, to have worked on the Tamar Valley with our officers and Tamar Valley. I would like to give a special mention to William Darwell, the leader that took over, under very difficult circumstances. There was a good possibility that they would not been able to do what they need to do to get the funding DEFRA, but Cornwall, particularly Devon County Council, including ourselves, have supported them in doing that, so that now they are totally on track. They have a very bright future ahead of them with a number of projects in the pipeline with funding from the National Lottery, and I think the Tamar Valley will continue to go from strength to strength now because of the way it's operating. So I am very pleased that this has come forward for noting, and I look forward to its implementation. I will make a plea on behalf of the Tamar Valley, though, in terms of this goes to Plymouth, because Plymouth do need to get more involved with their officer engagement and financial support, which is sadly lacking at the moment. Considering the Tamar Valley is a significant feature of Plymouth City, considering their new crematorium, the park, is actually overlooking the Tamar and by all accounts is a wonderful location. I think Plymouth is missing an opportunity here to both support and use the work of the Tamar Valley to increase their contribution to biodiversity within the area. So just a plea for Plymouth, please help a bit more. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor West. Any other debate, please? Okay, if we could move to a vote. All those in favour, please.
That's 7 unanimous, the recommendation. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much indeed. If we can now move to item 10, which is the exclusion of the public and press, to consider the following resolutions. I will move that recommendation. Would somebody like to second, please?
Happy to second.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gardner, please. All those in favour, please.
Thank you, Leader. That's unanimous to move into part 2. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that we move to part 1.
Happy to second.
All those in favour, please.
That's
Thank you very
unanimous
much.
public session. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much, and I close this meeting at 15:27. Thank you very much, members.